Welcome to the Layin the Body podcast. I'm Terrence.
And I'm Lucas.
And this is the place to be for head rushing shots of hockey. We are back for episode number 6 of the podcast. And again, not a lot of news going on throughout the NHL. Lots of COVID stuff going on.
I mean, teams are coming back from COVID, so
yeah, they are.
We're slowly getting there.
We're going to get back into it, but there has been some teams very good. There has been some teams very bad. And we're here to talk about them.
Yeah, and we'll get
today.
into all that in a little bit.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in again. We're trying to give you guys a weekly dose of hockey every week. So I thank you guys for all that you've done to support us. And yeah, we will continue to give us the good stats and the good
news.
Content.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to dive into this a little bit, Terrence, you mentioned this to me before. Marc-Andre Fleury's resurgence has been propelling Vegas to some tough fought wins.
Yes.
They haven't been scoring. Listen, they've been scoring, but in some games, like last night, 1-0 against Colorado. I watched that entire game. Colorado could have easily won that game. I know Kel McCarr wasn't playing. I don't know if McKinnon played. I don't remember. But again, they could have easily lost that game.
Yes.
Fleury kept them in it the entire game and pitched another shutout. So
yes.
Let me hear from you because you were mentioning it to me before.
Yes, I am a big, a lot of people aren't big Marc-Andre Fleury fans. And because, people say that in big moments he isn't as clutch.
As he used to be.
Yeah, and, he can, choke in, those type of moments. But here's the thing. If you look at the stats right now, in a time where Robin Lehner is struggling a little bit, he isn't doing that bad, but 2.96 goals against average and a 0.890.
It's not typical Robin Lehner. Not horrible, but not typical Robin Lehner for sure.
3-1 too, but Marc-Andre Fleury keeping this team afloat. In 8 games played, Marc-Andre Fleury has 7 wins, 1 loss, only 1 loss.
And he's only allowed 11 goals.
Only allowed 11 goals on 196 shots. 1.38 goals against average and a .944 save percentage.
And he's got 2 shutouts to boot.
2 shutouts.
So he's been doing great.
It's good to have a good team complementing it, but to have a goalie stand on your head like that, and especially what you said before, they did beat the Colorado Avalanche 1-0,
and
which
they
is
could have
hard.
easily won.
It's hard to blank the high-powered offense like the Colorado Avalanche.
In my eyes, the best offense in the league.
Yeah,
outside of Tampa.
Yes, so it's very they've been playing very good hockey, Vegas, and I've said this from the start. I think they are
the
cup contenders or cup favorites.
I think they're cup favorites. They're up there, definitely.
10-2-1 they are in the season, and I mean, you can't complain what they're doing. They're playing amazing team game. Mark Stone leading the charge with, I think it's 16 points. Yep, 16 points, 4 goals. Max Pacioretty coming back to elite form with 7 goals, 5 assists. That they got just great depth scoring where you have different players like Chandler Stevenson having a great season on that bottom 6 with 5 goals, 4 assists, and 9 points. This team is playing a great team game together they've always had.
And like you said, to boot, Marc-Andre Fleury keeping the team
Pucks
afloat.
out of the net.
Yeah.
He's having a late
career resurgence.
Yeah.
But so
Vegas, we're just gonna say that right now. They're one of our highs for
sure, a high of the week.
As they just beat Colorado, they beat San Jose. They did lose to Anaheim, but then they came back and beat Anaheim after that. And then besides that loss to Anaheim, 1-0 on Thursday, February 11th, they beat LA. They beat LA again, and that was that week. So they were 5-1 throughout the week, 4-1.
Really good week, for sure, for any team. But speaking of, I guess you could say a little career resurgence. I'm gonna dive into go to Varlamov. Listen, you can't tell me Semyon Varlamov has not been playing well. I don't care what you want to say about that. He's older.
He's playing very good. Yes, I will.
He wasn't. Listen, he was great in Colorado, and then he was okay in Washington when he started. He was good in Colorado, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. And when he went to the Islanders, I mean, nothing short of sensational. 6-2. He's has a 1.98 goals against average, and he's got 3 shutouts and a .93 save percentage. I mean, the dude's been insane, considering we really haven't there's not really a backup goalie at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed in Sorokin. as I thought he was going to be better.
Yes and no. It's tough because in all 3 games, the team really didn't play in front of him. Again, 5-0 to the Rangers. What was it?
It was another 2-0.
It was 2-0 to the Devils, and then 3-2 in overtime to the Flyers. So I'd like to see. I think we're going to see Sorokin. I want to say not tonight, but tomorrow when they play Buffalo in the second back-to-back. I think we'll see him. If the team plays complete in front of him, I think he's going to be fine. Again, he made outstanding saves. It's tough, but another goalie that I would say having a career resurgence and really helping their team win.
Yeah. Another person that we're just going to go through all these, there's a lot of great goalies in this season. But
one keeping his team afloat right now.
One keeping his team afloat. We're going to go to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, this guy, undrafted, I thought that this team was going to be screwed after I saw their goalie situation. They had Malcolm Subban and Colin Delia as their starters.
You doubted my analytics right there.
I did. I doubted them, and they have not been playing good at all.
But you know what?
Subban has been playing decent, but who would have thought that the undrafted Kevin Lankinen would come in and keep his team afloat? Chicago, right now,
sitting tied for what? Fourth
with Columbus.
I know they got a couple more games played than Dallas. I think it's 4, but overall can't complain.
They are 7-5-4. Not great. 7-5-4. Not the best, but I mean, their defense is so bad, and why I love Lankinen so much is because he is getting some of the most shot value in the league. Yeah, high shot volume.
Not even high shot volume. Also, grade A scoring chances against him, and he's really proved that he can play well against that. But
he is 6-2-0 in his 6-2-0 and then 3 OT losses, with a 2.49 goals against average and a .925 save percentage. Only let up 28 goals against 374 shots against. Are you kidding me? This guy is getting some of the most shots against on him in the league, and he is putting up these stats on a horrible defense, on, I would say, not so good of a team, and he is keeping his team afloat here in the start of the season.
Yeah,
giving him a chance to maybe make the playoffs.
He's definitely keeping his team afloat, but you can't bash this either. They've been getting some depth scoring. They've been getting some surprise guys. Again, I know
Pia Suter's.
Yeah, I was about to say Pia Suter's been fantastic. Again, 6 goals and 3 assists in his 16 games.
You have the two top,
you got Patty Kane, DeBrincat, and Kubalik. The 3 of them were expected to do that.
It was a tough loss that Taser was out, but
they're doing well. Again, you got some decent ones. You got Strome, Matthias Janmark, Philip.
They got
Khrushchev,
some decent,
8-9 points.
I'm not disregarding their offense. Their offense is very good. Their defense is something that.
I would tend to agree with that.
I think their defense is very, very lackluster. It's very old, very slow. You can't really you need fast skating defensemen on that back end in this type of NHL.
And for me, not necessarily on their defense, but just overall as a team, 3 players that I think really need to pick it up as I've been watching them. Nicholas Bowden, Nikita Zadorov, and Adam Boqvist. These 3 kids have a lot of talent, all very young. Boqvist is a rookie. Bowden is also a rookie.
Yeah. Zadorov's been in the league for a couple
years, but again, young. If they can pick it up, I really feel like this team can make a push.
I really like Adam Boqvist. I think he's a very good defenseman. I think he just needs to pick it up. He's only played 6 games.
But he's got 3 assists, so he's not doing bad.
He's not doing bad.
But I'm saying more on the defensive side of it.
I think
he's a -1.
I think Boqvist is going to be a very, very good defenseman in this league. And despite plus minus, this kid, you can see that he is a very good defenseman. You could see that he has the keys to be a very good defenseman. And I know that this team has its flaws. They have big flaws. Don't get me wrong. They have big, big flaws. But they got a good, Kevin Lankinen now gave this team,
some life. And they got a bunch of good young studs on the offense and defense side.
So I'm excited to watch this team.
If they can progress, if the young guys can progress, they're a dark horse for maybe the 4th spot. I
think they are. I think
tough
they are
in that division.
Because Kevin Lankinen is playing out of his mind, and this kid is, like I said, some of the most shots against in the league, getting the most shot volume, and he's making miraculous saves, great saves, clutch saves when they need it. And on a bad defense like that, you need a stud goalie, and they haven't had a stud goalie like this since Crawford. I mean, and even when Crawford was there, they were injured. He was injured all the time, and then they were struggling to get their goalie. So then I would say Robin Lehner.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
So, I mean, this team is now coming together pretty nicely. They've been putting up some wins, and it's very. I'm going to be very interested to see how this team does in the future. I mean,
I would say a relatively easy week. Detroit, Carolina, but there's no easy games now they're playing in the division.
But look, in the last 5 games, they beat Carolina, they beat Dallas twice. Dallas is a great contender.
They're
both in OT.
They're 4-0-1.
They're 4-0-1,
and their one loss they blew a 5-3 lead.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks, but
I mean that makes sense for a bad defense.
Yeah.
Now. But, like, Lankinen's keeping them in there. This team is gelling at a good time. Like you said, they're getting some good depth scoring. And it's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to see what the Chicago Blackhawks do in the upcoming weeks and future.
And to stay on the topic, while you're saying of guys that are remaining hot, you got a player that, for me, that's really been hot for the past, I would say, even like 8 games, 10 games.
Hot?
Yeah, someone that's really, whether it be point streaks, a defenseman that's been playing well, or even another goalie for that matter.
Another goal. Let's see. So, there's a bunch of people that I can choose from.
Give me one.
There's a bunch of people that I could choose from, but you know what? I'm gonna give someone that's very underrated that I think that I was talking to you about before, and that's someone on a team that isn't really doing that good at the moment, the Arizona Coyotes, and that's Connor Garland. This kid is under the radar, amazing. Now, on a team, like I said, lackluster, they're 6-2, 14 points in their 14 games. So they aren't playing that good. They are
mediocre at the moment.
Yeah, they're playing mediocre, stuck in the Mediocreville. They're 5th. They're only 1 point behind the 4th spot in Anaheim.
That division's not very good. That 4th spot's really up for grabs again. San Jose, Los Angeles, Minnesota, Arizona, and Anaheim are nothing special to begin with. So that could really be anyone's spot.
Mm-hmm. But Connor Garland has come out as a stud in this team. I knew he was pretty good when he came onto the scene last year, and I saw him play. He had that electrifying, like, skating. He's one of those guys that is just, like, so electrifying when you watch him. And I feel like whenever he got the puck, he was going to score.
Yeah.
Like, in that time. And I was like, when you look at the Arizona Coyotes, like...
There's no superstar.
You have
OEL.
OEL has been injured, though. OEL's been injured. Clayton Keller's been underperforming a little bit than what we thought that he would be, and hopefully he can pick it up. But, like, this team has some nice resurgence coming. And if you look at it, like, Connor Garland is a very, very good complement to this whole team. And I think Connor Garland is so underrated. 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points, a +7 in all these games. And he's just, like, leading this team in points. He is just electrifying. And he's going alongside of, like, all these other guys who have been very, very good.
And yeah, like you were about to say, not to knock off any of them. Really, there's no one on the Coyotes that's a big name that you would say everyone's talking about. But outside of Garland, you got Christian Dvorak.
Christian Dvorak's been so underrated.
Great, 14 games, 13 points. Nick Schmaltz has been doing great again.
I want to talk about Christian Dvorak
14 and 12. And I've loved the kid since he came into the league. Jacob Chikrin has been fantastic. Yes. Kid's got 11 points in 14 games. He's been locking it down for them.
I love that pick.
Yeah, and again, you got some decent depth scoring.
I mean, you got a big name in Phil Kessel there, but he hasn't been playing up to it.
He's older at this point. You can't really consider him. Don't get me wrong, he could still play.
He is a big name.
But he's got to pick it up.
But look,
but they've got some guys. They definitely do.
They do got some depth scoring. I mean, like, I feel like if they put it together, it's a little bit of a mess there in Arizona right now, especially with, like, all the GM stuff. They lost their 2 first-round picks for the next few years, and it's just, like, with all the, like, combine stuff, and it's a little bit tough there in Arizona. Their goaltending situation's pretty good. I mean, Kemper and Ranta are both solid goalies.
They're just not getting the wins, dude.
Yeah, they're just not getting it. And I feel like they can get it. They just need to get their bill of health together. OEL's only played 4 games. And when he's played, he hasn't really been the stud OEL that he always has been. He hasn't been it. I mean, they need their youngins to come up like Barrett Hayton, who's been pretty good. But, like, this team is going to be up by their new young studs. And that is going to be their new young studs, like Christian Dvorak, like Connor Garland, like Nick Schmaltz, like Clayton Keller. Those 4 are going to be the studs that, like Jacob Chychrun. Those guys are going to be the guys manning this team and hopefully bringing them to the promised land.
They got to drive them to the playoffs. But like you said with OEL, listen, OEL, as much as you want to bash him for his defensive play in the 4 games he's been in, offensively, you know OEL, one of the best offensive defensemen.
OEL's very good.
He's got 4 assists in 4 games. He's just, when he comes back, he's got to play better defensively because that -3, and he's the leader on that back end and on the team in general. He really needs to pick it up a little bit. But
no, yeah, I agree. Now, but I want to talk about this kid that's very underrated, like you said, Christian Dvorak, who, when I've watched, he's you don't see him a lot. Like, he's not the one to make the flashy plays. He's not the one to do all that. But he's the one with the big body to, like, be in front of the net, to have a great two-way game. I see this guy having a great two-way game all the time whenever he plays. And he is just a great two-way player, one of the best two-way players in the league, I'm going to say now that I've seen him watch. And he is just putting up great performances, great on the PK, great on everything that he does. And like what you said, Jacob Chychrun, I always loved when he was playing. And he's putting up great numbers, a great defenseman. He's turning into a number 1 defenseman while OEL is out. And I was a big Jacob Chychrun fan when he got drafted, and I'm still a big Jacob Chychrun fan now that I'm watching him on the Coyotes. And although the Coyotes are a little bit underwhelming, like, I feel like they could be a dark horse for that last spot. And to be honest, like, I would be very excited to see Arizona in the playoffs once again.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. Now that we've established some players that have been doing pretty well over the past few weeks and throughout the season, Terrence, give me a high. Give me a team that's been on a high.
Team?
Yeah, don't necessarily give me a team that's at the top of the league.
I'm not going to give you
Give me a team that's really just this past week, or that are starting to find themselves.
Well, I'm going to go with the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I bashed the Oilers a little bit before, and I'd say that I bashed the Oilers before, saying that they were very underwhelming. You have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, and, like, it isn't really that good. Like, what are you guys doing? But in the month of February, they have played 5 games, and they are 4-1. Now, they did play Ottawa 3 times, so that helps. But
you blanked Montreal.
But Montreal, you blanked 3-0. They did lose to Calgary 6-4, which you're allowed to have, like, a bad game in there. But Edmonton has been getting up there now, and they've been putting up some decent performances. Like what I did say before that I did bash them. Like, what are you guys doing with your goaltending situation? But, like, there's 2 kids, they're keeping them afloat, like I said. McDavid, Draisaitl, no explanation needed. But you have Darnell Nurse, who's, like, I had a problem with their depth scoring, with their scoring on the back end. And if you look at it, Darnell Nurse and Tyson Barrie are putting up great performances this year.
And to be honest with you, Nugent Hopkins isn't far off.
Either. Kyler Yamamoto. Their offensive depth scoring is a little bit lackluster.
When you have McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, you don't need it, yeah. But you have Barrie and Nurse, who are putting up great points on the back end, both with 12 points respectively. And I would say, like, that's, like, the depth scoring that they needed. And once they get, like, a little depth scoring, at least even for the back end, you could see how this team is skyrocketing because of getting some other scoring besides McDavid and Draisaitl. And their goalies, their goalies haven't been playing. Like, Mike Smith, in the 2 games he has a .5 goals against average and a .985 save percentage. He's only allowed one goal.
On 65 shots.
1 goal on 65 shots.
Koskinen's got to be better.
Koskinen does have to be better, but I feel like their team is gelling together. They need to get that depth scoring, and they have gotten that. And I've been very excited watching Edmonton recently, not only because of McDavid and Draisaitl, not only because, like, they're electrifying to watch, but, like, this team is actually putting together some good wins and some good plays. Another team that I'm going to stay in this division a little bit. Another team that I'm surprised with, like, I know they're at the top of the league. That's a high, and that's Toronto. I know that you didn't want me to pick someone at a high right here, but at the top of the league. But this team, when I've watched them, like, of course, when you see Toronto, they're going to put up the offensive. Their issue was their defense. I have seen so much, whenever I watch them, I've seen a lot of back checking. I've seen so much back checking from their forwards, some solid defensive play from their defense, like a guy that is very underrated, Justin Hall, who has been playing out of his mind defensively. He's been a great resurgence for his team. Morgan Riley, of course, is still there, but like you see like these young guys like Mitch Marner, like Austin Matthews, like William Nylander, back checking for their lives if a puck is turned over in their zone, and they make great turnovers. Like John Tavares has made so many plays like that where he's been skating from one end to the other and taking away the puck from a back check. And that's why I feel like this team is so successful. I know the division's a little bit weak, but their defensive play has been so much better, and it's showing in their record, 11-3-1, and right now they're like a high for me this week, and they should have been a high for me many weeks, as this team is on fire. Like, they just lost to Montreal, but then they beat Montreal again. They beat Montreal, then they beat Toronto, they beat Vancouver, they beat Vancouver. Like, they smacked Vancouver. They beat Montreal, like I said, but then they lost to Montreal. But like, this team is just, they look so different than the Toronto Maple Leafs that I've seen in the years past. And like, it's just so amazing to see this team actually do something. Like, Sheldon Keefe is doing something good. This guy is making his team play great defensive hockey with their great offensive studs. Like, don't even disregard their offense. Mitch Marner has 22 points in 15 games. Matthews has 17 points in 14 games. Tavares, point per game. Nylander, a little bit under point per game. Morgan Riley is a defenseman, 4 points under point per game. Like, their offense is nuts. Hyman, they're getting depth scoring like Spezza, like Kerfoot, like Simmons. Like, this, even though Simmons just got injured, but I mean, still, like, they're getting everything together, and like, they are just they should be a high for me more, and I just like am very into how they're playing recently. That was my big spiel on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I could tell you're very high on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, as much as I do not like one of the players on the Toronto Maple Leafs, this team, you can't disregard how good they've been. They've been really good, and the fact that like, one of the things that's been holding them back, like I said, is their defensive play. And now that they got that cleaned up, they are undoubtedly a cup favorite in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't really want to say that, but they've definitely proven that they can play defensive hockey, and deservingly enough are at the top of their division and at the top of the league, so can't take that away from them. Definitely, I wouldn't say a cup favorite at this point, but a cup contender is definitely something that you can put a label on for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Now, I want you to give me a team that's, give me a low, Lucas. Give me someone that's a little bit underwhelming that you think.
A little underwhelming. You've been saying it a lot. I'm just going to say it. Vancouver. Vancouver's been god freaking awful. 18 games. They're 7-11. They got 14 points.
They looked so good last year.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened.
Like, I had them out in the playoffs by one in my projections. By a spot. I had him 5th. Because I thought with Markstrom out that it would be a big loss for this team. Yeah, Markstrom's playing very good in Calgary.
They kind of disregarded
like Quinn
defense
Hughes
at this point. Yeah.
is a stud.
And listen, I don't want to say it. Yeah, great.
Did you see his goal the other day?
Yes, and
with a fake. And then he just shot it, a fake pass.
And it's great that Quinn Hughes has 18 points, 2 goals, 6 assists.
Besser's playing amazing.
Yes, but I'm sorry, but dude, when your top point getter is your defenseman and you don't really have much great anything following that, again, Patterson's doing meh.
Bo Horvat has stalled off.
Bo Horvat's stalled. Been meh. JT Miller's been doing pretty good.
Patterson has been very underwhelming.
And Besser's been good. Really, your 3 players that have actually I can anyone can legitimately say have been playing well is Hughes, Besser, and Miller. Horvat and Pedersen have stalled. Pearson was off to a hot start and just stalled. The entire team on offense to start, and their defense is horrible.
Good.
Their defense is horrible. I don't know what
their goalie. What is this? What is this? What is this? I don't understand. Thatcher Demko played pretty lights out in the playoffs, and he is now in 10 games 4-6. He is having a lot of shots against. Don't get me wrong. He is getting a lot of shot volume against, but he's getting a lot of shot volume against. But it's like, come on, man. Like, I wanted this team to do good. I wanted this team to really do good. And because I saw how electrifying and young this team is. But Thatcher Demko with a 3.46 and an under 900 save percentage, and Holtby being awful too. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they've been really bad as of lately. It's tough.
They've been very bad. Anymore. Like what I said before. They got schmacked by Toronto. Toronto losing 7-3, 5-1, and 3-1. They lost to Calgary 3-1, and then they just beat Calgary to get their first win on the board.
1-5. 1-5 in their past 6.
Yes, they are. They are just god. They're actually 1-6 in their last 7. Oh my god, they are so this team needs to get it together. I don't know what they need to do. I'm not sure if they need to fire their coach. I'm not sure if they need to make a trade. But I need to see something out of this team. I need to see something. I need to see something different. I need to see something different. Or else they're going to be stuck in Mediocreville, and they're not going to get a high draft pick. They're just going to stay in this loop-de-loop of mediocre, and they're not going to get anything done. And that you do not want to be a mediocre. In my opinion, you either want to be bad or good. If you're bad, you get a high draft pick, you get good draft picks, and then you rebuild. If you're mediocre and you keep thinking that you're a playoff team, then that's where you don't get the good draft picks.
Yeah, now you're sounding like the Rangers.
Yes. Oh, my God. But, Vancouver is... I feel like getting into that loop. But here's the thing. They can be saved. Their team is young. Their team is good. Their offense is good. They just need to get better defensively. They need their players that are underperforming to perform better. And I feel like Vancouver can turn it around. Like I said, they're only, surprisingly, with their bad play, 3 points behind Winnipeg. But they do have... Winnipeg has 4 games in hand on them. So does Calgary. Ottawa has 2 games in hand on them. It's going to be tough. But, I still think it's possible. Not really. They just need to beat them in the times that they play them. And it's going to be tough. But Vancouver, like you said, a low coming in. But, it's just very, very frustrating. I bet I'm not even a Vancouver fan, and I get frustrated over, that talent, quote unquote, not performing and, knowing that there's so much talent, and you see that talent sometimes, and then, you don't see it another time. Reminds me of Josh Bailey. Now, we're going to go into another team that we're going to go into another team that I think is very underwhelming. That I just now that we're just on this again, we're just going to do a team that I think is underwhelming, and that is going to be the Nashville Predators. I thought, even though I ranked them low,
I was spot on. They're 7th right now.
I thought that they were going to be good. I thought that they were going to be better.
Dude, they have a minus 16 goal differential when you're 2 goals given up away from being where the Red Wings are.
We haven't talked about the Nashville Predators a lot.
No reason to.
For a reason.
They have one guy over 10 points.
You have Philip Forsberg.
It's about
He's a stud. Philip Forsberg's a stud.
Yeah, Matt Duchene's
busting that contract is not that good. Yossi is a Norris caliber defenseman.
He's not playing defensively. He's playing god awful, but
no Yossi. But you can't blame that on him. I think you blame that on the team around him. Yossi is still a Norris caliber defenseman.
When your 2 top defensemen. When your top defensive pairing, Ellis and Yossi, are both at a -5, come on, you can't have that.
Their team is all minuses, and that shows. I don't
Their only pluses are on the 4th line. And that should say a lot. You're not the Islanders.
Mm-hmm. This team is just falling apart. And to think about it, in just 4 years ago in 2017, 16, 17, I don't remember the year, but they were in the Stanley Cup final with Pittsburgh. And it was arguably an awful call that didn't make them go to Game 7. Do you remember that call?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That like he blew the whistle and then like they scored.
Yeah.
Just like that was very frustrating. I hate Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But
not much to talk about in terms of Nashville.
But like
they're
Nashville, they are very underwhelming, and as like again another one that is a little bit of mediocreville that like it's very hard to watch that team, and I feel bad for any Nashville Predators fan at the moment. Now we're gonna go into high players. Give me a high player, Lucas. Give me a high player that you think, or like a high defenseman. Like we talked about a lot of goalies today, so try and stay away from goalies. But give me a high player, either defenseman or forward, that has really jumped out to you, and you're like, wow, I want to like. Let's take away McDavid and Draisaitl for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just going to head to Quinn Hughes. We've been talking about him a lot, but when you're a point a game as a defenseman, 18 games, 18 points. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's kind of hard to say no. The dude's been playing great. Plus, minus has been god-awful. He's a minus 12, but again, the defense
is awful.
Overall, when you're a point a game through 18 games as a defenseman, if you can pick up the defense, definitely a Norris Trophy finalist in my eyes. What about you?
Okay, someone that's really jumped out to me, like also I can also say this is a surprising player. JVR, James Van Riemsdyk. He is top 10 in points this year, and he is just lights out in 13 games played, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points, leading his team in points. And you wouldn't think that a James Van Riemsdyk would be leading the Philadelphia Flyers in points. He is a net front presence, but he's been playing amazing, and he's someone that he's the best player on Philly this year, and for good reason. He is just playing very well, and he is someone that I am excited to watch every time that I see the Islanders play the Philadelphia Flyers. Even though I don't like him scoring, it's like he's
a fun player to watch for sure. Let's dive into this. I think one of our final segments, Terrence. Almost I'd say power rankings. I could see a bunch of teams that I think would have switched from last week.
Yes.
So I want to hear yours first.
My power rankings for this week.
Give me 1 to 5.
Okay. My 1 is going to be Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, even though we didn't talk about them today, they are still the number 1 in my eyes. I feel like their team is just lights out no matter what, and yeah, just for good reason. They are amazing. They're the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're the reigning Stanley Cup champs. They are just lights out whenever they play. I mean, they are on right now they're on like a over 6-game win streak, 5-game, like they are just on a big win streak right now, and they are a great team to watch. I love watching Tampa Bay play, even though I don't like when they beat the Islanders in the Eastern Conference Final last year. I do like when I see them play, and they're the top team for sure.
Fun team to watch, fast-paced, without Kucherov, so it'll be interesting when he comes back. I'm here too.
Number 2, Toronto. I'm going to say that right now. Toronto.
You summarized this before.
Toronto, I summarized it before. Toronto, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Number 3, I'm going to go with, like I said, Flower Power in Vegas.
Yeah, another team that
I talked about before. Yeah, I summed it up before, and you know what? I'm happy with my pick for Vegas. My next team is going to be the Boston Bruins, even though they did lose to the Islanders the other night. I mean,
hey, everyone has bad nights. But
everyone has bad nights, but I mean, like this team's amazing. Still, you can't disregard them. They were on a point streak, win streak.
They've got the perfection line, but listen, they'll be back. Don't worry about them. They will be back,
and I think that they are 4th. And then my final team that I'm going to choose, it's between a couple teams, and like because it really is tough.
Give me an honorable mention, then give me your 5th.
If I'm giving you an honorable mention, I'm gonna give you I'm just gonna list them all out, okay?
For it.
I'm with Florida. Florida's been playing very well as always. Florida in only 12 games is 18 points. I mean 8-2-2. They've just been very good. Carolina's been picking it up recently, like I've seen. But the team that I'm going to choose, like I said, Florida, Carolina, both have been playing very well recently. But the team that I'm going to choose, like I said before, that we haven't talked about today is Montreal. I mean,
deservedly so.
It's easy. Like, Montreal, even though they did just lose to Toronto,
they're on a little bit of a skid, but
they're on a little bit of a skid.
Well.
But I feel like they're teams that they are on a little bit of a skid. They did lose 2 games before, but then, like, I feel like they can bounce back. Maybe they're not really deserving of 5, but I still think that they're a really good team. You know what? Scratch that. I'm not going to put Montreal there. I'm going to put Carolina there. Carolina's been playing very solid recently. This team is gelling very good. We don't really talk about Carolina much. We probably should talk about them more because they are a very, very good team. I mean, they just beat Dallas twice. They, like, in their last 6 games, they are 4-1-1, which is very good. I do like myself some Carolina Hurricanes and watching them. Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho. They have a great young defense with Dougie Hamilton, with Brett Pesce, with Jakob Slavin, with Brady Shea. Great goaltending from what I've seen when Mrazek is healthy. They're just a great team to watch. And you know what? I was about to put Montreal, but no, I was a little bit flip-floppy. I'm going to stick with it. Carolina's number 5 on my power rankings for this week. What do you think? What are your power rankings?
All right. If I got to give you my top 5. Number 1, I think a little different than yours, but going to give it to Toronto. Been playing lights out.
Yes.
Kind of hard to deny that one. Number 2.
I agree.
Going to give to Tampa.
You just flip-flop.
Yeah, there's no real reason for me to not keep those 2 at top 2. Vegas, I'll give it to 3. We got that the same. Colorado's fallen off for me. I'm not going to put them in the top 5. They've really struggled over the past few games. Number 4, I'm going to give to... It's been tough. A lot of teams have caught up. I'm going to give to Florida. Florida's been playing lights out. It's tough not to keep them there. Number 5... Did I say Boston?
No, you did not.
So let me switch that. Boston number 4, and I'm gonna put Florida number 5.
Yes.
I had thought for some reason I said Boston, but yeah, Florida I'm gonna put over Carolina.
I can't believe you didn't put Tampa number 1.
No,
Tampa is okay. Like, look at when you see this team.
Listen, I know they've been playing well, but right now in my eyes,
I would be one to say Toronto is up there. But I still put Tampa first.
Listen, coming from an Islanders fan, it means a lot when I can say Toronto's number 1.
Yeah.
Coming from any fan, no one wants to say that. But
you put Toronto number 2, which is Toronto number 1, and
Tampa number 2. Yeah,
I still respect it. They're still both there. Yeah, and for the most part, I agree. Like Vegas number 3. Number 4, you put Boston, which I agree.
Number 5, I'm going to cap it with Florida.
Yeah, Florida. I was in the loop-de-loop of Carolina, Florida,
I just like them over Carolina at this point.
Yeah, Florida has been very good. Like, if you look at it, like, they just beat Tampa. Like, they lost to Tampa, but then they just beat Tampa before. They lost to the Red Wings, which is, but they did beat the Red Wings the other time. But they've been very good recently. Like, very solid coming together team, and no one thought that Florida would be this good. I had them 6 in my rankings.
Yeah, I had them 6 as well.
And because I thought, unless Bobrovsky came back very good, which he still hasn't, his stats are awful. But Chris Dragier as a backup in 5 games played, he's 3-1-1, a 1.97 goals against average, .37 save percentage. He's playing lights out. And their offensive depth scoring is playing very good. Jonathan Huberdeau, I think... Okay, don't quote me on this. If Florida goes very far, Jonathan Huberdeau is in for the Hart.
Fair enough.
I think Jonathan Huberdeau, this bold prediction, Hart to Jonathan Huberdeau if Florida keeps it up. If Florida makes the playoffs, Hart goes to Jonathan Huberdeau. That's my bold prediction.
I can see that.
For this. I think Jonathan Huberdeau is so good. I think Barkov is so good.
Yeah, they're underrated because they're on Florida.
Patrick Hornquist playing point per game. That was a great signing by Florida. Carter Verhaeghe, like I was talking about the other day, he's just a great signing, great depth signing, great complement to the good players. Ekblad, Keith Yandel, Alex Wenberg, getting some good depth scoring. And yeah, I was about to put him in the top 5. I just think Carolina, right now it's more hot and edges them out a little bit. But so nonetheless, Florida, very good. And they are deserving, and I respect and I see why they
anyone
can
can flip-flop them, but definitely I would put Carolina 6. So not very different from yours, but relatively the same. I think it's going to wrap it up for today, correct?
Yeah, that is going to wrap it up for today. I think that's all good. You got anything else? No?
I got nothing else. Interesting.
I think we wrapped it up pretty good. I mean, we tried to
get some different teams in there.
Yeah, we tried to get some different teams in there. I mean, a lot of teams that we kind of looked over because, they're a little bit meh.
And you got to remember, a lot of teams are going to be coming back this week. You got Buffalo's coming back tonight.
Devils.
Colorado has started to come back. Devils are going to be coming back. So teams are
going
to
be
be
talking about them more when they come back. And here's the thing.
Devils will be interesting coming into this week.
I just thought, we had to talk about the goaltending because there has been so many good goaltenders. We talked about Varlamov. We talked about Fleury. We talked about
rightfully so. Those are the stars of the week for sure.
We talked about Fleury. We talked about Lankin, and we talked about the star players going around because, these guys just, I feel like they needed some recognition, and
for sure
that have stood out to me. And of course, there's a lot more players that we definitely missed. I picked Connor Garland, who I think is very underrated. But you guys, you can tell us, did we miss anyone that we could have chose as a very star underrated player that we kind of missed? Put it in the comments down below. Because we could be missing someone. I mean, we're not perfect. We don't watch every minute of every single game that we see. So, I mean, it's going to be it's very interesting to look around the NHL and see what players are doing very good, see what players are doing very bad, and to see, if teams can get better or worse because of the players' performances.
And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us on Layin the Body podcast for this week. So,
yeah, I'm Terrence.
And I'm Lucas.
And we'll see you in the next one. Sayonara.